Okay, everyone, this is my spoiler review of Dark Matter Episode 7, In the Fire of Dead Stars. Now, what's interesting is this is the first time we've seen Detective Mason show up in the timeline of our original Jason. We saw her actually in the creator Jason's timeline with that Leighton, and she was looking into Leighton and the Amanda of that world and what they were doing, and we haven't seen her since. And it's interesting we're seeing a different version of her, if it's a different version of her, but I think it obviously is. But she's looking now into Ryan missing. This is going to be the risk he took by getting rid of the Ryan from this world and not wanting him to mess up his plans, but he's also got to now have a cover for what happened to Ryan. It's funny that the detective says that his girlfriend Mindy is looking for Ryan, and you realize that he took this deadbeat version of Orion and gave him a haircut later in the episode and just put him in his bed at the home. So, I mean, I feel like this Mindy's going to realize right away that this isn't her Ryan because it's such an extreme opposite of the Ryan that was in that world. So we're going to see how that goes down probably next episode. But Daniela will show him the drug she found and that she tells him that she was following him to that storage unit, and he just gets angry. He's like, why didn't you confront me with it, not Ryan? And we'll see that anger translates to his therapy session later on, how much of a narcissist this Jason is that he's mad that she's going behind his back, he says, talking to his friend, not confronting him, but he's been going behind her back with everything. But she says, I feel like we've become strangers and I hate it. So this is the breaking point for their relationship, and this has already been souring out, especially since the allergy attack happened to Charlie. It's interesting, she also brings up the side effects that could be happening in this drug, and he says there is lots of side effects, but just them mentioning that is something that is a variable you have to remember here, and I'm sure is going to affect this Jason and the other Jason at some point seriously by the end of this season. Now, with the Jason we like and Amanda finally takes the reins here. This is what I was complaining about last episode. My biggest gripe of the show is that she was underwritten, and we need a little more selfishness in the character to make it a little more realistic. And you see in this episode, they have some important scenes talking about how selfless of a person she is. And you see in the therapy session later on she's having with the other Jason that he's pointing out she wants to help people because she had to help her mom her whole life, and puts them in front of herself. I wish that scene was in the last episode. It would have really hit harder to me because we were seeing her do that so much with that Jason. So it was good, though, they gave more clarity to that here, and it was good they showed that side of Amanda finally being a human and looking out for her needs here and her wants. But this dream world she takes him to, it's futuristic, it's colorful, it's environmental friendly, and this is what she was doing when she was writing in Jason's journal and kind of getting a vision of where they would go together. And it's funny, though, because they made it look so sinister the last episode that I thought it'd be something darker. It still could be something she's hiding here, but it's kind of the complete opposite of what they were foreshadowing. But a big thing is she wrote about empathy and having more empathy in this world. Now, you see the gay couple at the bar thinks they are dating, and you can even see in the photo the chemistry. It's there, and he sees that looking at it, Jason, and knows that. Obviously, this would be a great choice for him if he didn't have his family back home he's trying to get to be with someone we know Jason's have had chemistries with, and he has clear chemistry with here and has feelings for clearly in this Amanda. Now, the restaurant she takes him to is called The Spire. This is definitely named after the 1964 novel. It's a dark and powerful portrait of one man's will. So sounds a lot like this story, so it's clearly something that inspired this story and the book. And it follows his demise as he chooses to follow his own will as opposed to the will of God. So similar type of story. This is the Jason, the creator Jason, was just fully following his own will and not thinking about others and other people's wants and needs. Now, our Jason got Amanda now at this dinner date, her favorite candy, Dares, and she says she looked up versions of themselves, and his version here was selling insurance, and Amanda version went missing 2 years ago, so it's the perfect place for her to be and not have the issues of running into herself. And she says this line, "You have a home you're looking for, but I don't have that." Finally, getting this dialogue I've been craving. She's like, I can't go back to my world. I'm completely alone except for you. That was sweet. And she's like, and you're not even my Jason. So she obviously loves this Jason. And he goes back, so you're abandoning me? It's like, really, man? Come on. She sacrificed everything for him so far. But he'll eventually apologize for getting her into this mess by the end of this scene. And she says to him, I want you to stay. Like, this is going to make them go crazy, keep going through this box, and they're running out of ampules, so she's like, it's a great line where she says, no world is going to be perfect, but we have to choose to make our life as great as it can be. And I'm glad she brought up again how when they're opening these doors, both of the minds are affecting what they see. They had mentioned that way earlier in the season and really hadn't brought that up again. They almost focused it too much on making it seem like it was all just affected by Jason. But she gives a good point. Like, what if I'm the thing keeping you from connecting to your world and getting back to his family? And he says she's amazing because it's such a selfless thing to say. Now, he drops 2 ampules in her bag because she didn't want to take them, so he has to sneakily do it. And this is Chekhov's gun, clearly. You know that means we are going to see this Amanda again, and she is going to have to use those ampules probably to help this Jason face the other Jason. Where are the Laytons, by the way? I keep thinking about that. Both Laytons have just gone off the map in this box, and especially the original Layton we saw in the beginning of the show. He was all messed up. We have not seen him since like episode 4, so I wonder what the hell is going on there. We only have 2 episodes left after this, so it will be funny if like one of these versions of like, let's say the Ryan who got kidnapped or one of the Laytons just doesn't get addressed again. I think they all will at some point, but it'd be funny if one was just never talked about. Now, what's interesting is Jason's only got 3 ampules left when he goes and leaves by himself, and Amanda stays. He burns through one just seeing this beat down version of his house, which keeps kind of happening in all these episodes. He's just not getting quite right the world he wanted. And then the second one gets interesting because he has a nice phone call with Daniela and some incredible acting by Joel Edgerton in the scene. He's like, I take so many moments with you for granted. It just hit me with a clarity that I love you so much. So you seeing him breaking down and get to his breaking point with this and having to see all these versions of a happy family of Daniela. And what maybe kept him stay the most here is Danielle saying she was going to wear her sexiest sweatpants that night. So that probably was a breaking point for him. That's something that will get you to stay and buy the evil mask that the Jason that kidnapped you wore. But when he goes inside the house, you know, it's interesting. He's going up the stairs. I'm surprised they didn't have him stand and look at that more because he probably would have been less shocked seeing the other brother of Max, the twin brother. He is in the photo. So I thought that was interesting. Like, why show that if we're going to see it eventually anyway and if he's not even going to acknowledge it? But he looks at the other Jason in bed with this other Danielle. He's thinking about it, you know, but he controls himself. He doesn't do what the other Jason did. So it shows a difference there of the 2 Jasons. But he runs into Max in the kitchen, and we learn that this Max is someone that Jason's disappointed in this world, but he's caring to him. He's seeing this son that was never born. It's fascinating, and it's going to open his eyes to a great line we're going to get to later in the episode about how an imperfect world is something to value, and that would also mean the world where he doesn't have this perfect life where both children were born and that we avoid that tragedy. But you see that this Max had a girl, Holly, give that heart to him, and he kind of lives with the guilt of that, and that it's like got survivor's guilt, and it's not as clear cut as you would think. It's not this dream world. So now that Detective Mason is getting closer and closer to what was going on with this creator Jason, especially she's like almost threatening him and hinting at him like, I got you, because there's more CCTV to look at in that area where they went missing, him and Ryan. So you know this is what caused him to panic here, and now it takes serious measures like opening the box again and bringing back this version of Ryan that is just disheveled. I love he's able to give him a nice haircut, though. I thought that was hysterical. And just drops him home. Now, my favorite moment of this show actually happens here, where our Jason, he's got his last shot here. He's on his last ampule, and he reflects on when he first laid eyes on Daniela. He says, human separateness is an illusion. We are all made of the same thing, blown out pieces of matter formed in the fires of dead stars. There's your episode title. But he didn't feel that knowledge, that wisdom in his bones till he met Daniela that day. But the best line of the show, and one of the best I've seen ever, is, I'm starting to suspect that is the imperfections of life that amount to a different kind of perfection. There's your message of the show right there, of the story of it. And it's gold, and Joel Edgerton is just incredible through this whole sequence, delivering these great lines. And he says, I just want to be home, back on the journey with this version of you. So you see, he's been through his own journey here, and that's the character growth in that line he just said about realizing imperfections of life have a different kind of perfection. That's a whole flip over there from the Jason we had saw earlier in the show that was wondering if he should take this job and leave his family and make that decision he always thought about in his life. So I really thought that was powerful and had huge payoff. And it's just great then that to lead when that character growth happens to go through the hole in the wall And then you know now he is in the right world. And I love that he's running through the snow. And of course, It's a Wonderful Life is playing at the theater he passes. So It's a Wonderful Life moment you're seeing here. And he sees his family through the door, but then he sees the other Jason coming in, and he's telling them he found Ryan, that he was just on a bender. That's how he's going to sell this thing. Now, our Jason smartly goes to buy a handgun, but he doesn't have a FOID card. So he's going with the pepper spray and knife. So at least he got something. But what's wild is then watching a moment. You're kind of been waiting for this the whole time of like, wait, I just saw another Jason. Who the hell are you? And that's what happens here, where the creator Jason shows up to the same store looking for a handgun at that moment. I would have liked to know, though, why exactly he was going for a handgun exact moment there. They obviously didn't show us why he wanted that motivation to get the handgun, so we had the shock of him coming in right after, but we'll probably see next episode what his motive is there. He's always got an evil plan. And I love the woman working in the store is like, do you have a twin? And then he knows now that the other Jason is back. So, or a version of him, but obviously he knows it's the other Jason. So game on. That's a great cliffhanger, and especially good timing in the show where you got 2 episodes left. So I feel like the next episode, being the penultimate episode, is going to be the absolutely crazy episode, and I can't wait for it. So this episode I'm going to give an 8.8. Obviously it's a slow burn this episode, but a good one. And the show's been like that a lot, but the writing was so strong. There was a very amazing feeling going on too, even in that world he's with Amanda, and a love that can't be, and you almost wish was the way this story goes, and still could by the end of the day. But it was really fascinating to see everything from everyone's perspective and the situation they've been in. And I thought the scene with him talking on the phone with Daniela was great, and then especially where he had to finally come to that realization, that wake-up call about life and its imperfections, and accepting it, and then finally getting to his world, I thought was excellent. And it's a really powerful episode by Joel Edgerton's acting skills. It's the best I think I've ever seen him. So really liked him. Give it 8.8. Let me know what you thought down below. Make sure to check out my interview with Jennifer Connelly. That will be linked in the comments. And I'd love to hear all your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.